Hi, and welcome to Between Mothers and Daughters. My name is Kamaria, and I'm here with my mother.
And my name is Patty. I'm the mother.
We decided to start this podcast as a way to extend my mom's content and for you all to get to know us a little bit. As some of you may know, my mom is an influencer and I do work with her. So we have the luxury of spending lots of time together. But even outside of our working relationship, we've also been pretty close throughout my whole life.
And I'm going to say content creator. Apples and oranges. And it's a blessing. I feel so blessed to be able to do this at this space and stage of my life, to have my daughter here with me, to have one of her childhood friends here with us as well. And it makes it easier. Like when I look around and I see the lifting that content creators and or influencers are doing, I feel very blessed to have the girls in this space. And with some of the conversations that we have, I feel very blessed to have the girls in this space. And it keeps me relevant. It keeps me abreast of lots of things that maybe I wouldn't know without them here with me. And so.
And so, for some backstory, because I know there's probably a few question marks, the girls are myself and my best friend Ariel, who is also here in New York with us today. Ariel is my mom's assistant virtually from a distance, but we work together every single day. And this weekend, we're all in New York. We have linked up in Atlanta. We've done many travels together, but this is our first time all being in New York, where my mom now lives, and we've had an amazing weekend. It's Sunday. Ariel and I will be going back to our respective cities today, DC for me and Atlanta for her. But it's always just an amazing thing when we can link up, and we're just all such creatives. And I think that Ariel and I met in a video production class in high school, and my mom is doing video production now in her content creation. And so just when the three of us together, it's like three type B brains, but there is some sort of vibe and plan and strategy to it, but mostly just going with the flow and helping my mom make the most of all of her content creation goals.
I'm definitely on claim type B. I'm going to say
Or
there's
Z.
Or Z, yeah. I'm going to say there are a couple A minuses in the room too, but we're just not going to go straight A.
Yeah, I'm type A when I need to be, but yeah. So just speaking about the weekend we've had, it's just been, like my mom said, such a blessing to have two people who are like-minded and aligned. And some of the things that we've been talking about this weekend are just, time and place and really being able to take hold of the moment. And I just think that this is such a real conversation to be had right now, especially as a content creator. I'm sure a lot of people wonder what it is like behind the scenes when there's so much going on in the world. But as a content creator, your job is to show the good online. So one of the questions I have for you right now is just how are you doing? We don't have to talk about the politics of it all. We don't have to say any names, but it is hard out there, and you have to show up every day with a smile and not, just give your audience doom and gloom.
Okay, so I'll say as a content creator, I'm also a content consumer, right? So I'm online chronically just studying what's happening, the climate of the world, and that sort of thing. And so sometimes that makes my own heart heavy, right? And so sometimes it feels very frivolous to show up and, hey, you want to see my blush color? Or you want to see how I curled my hair? So sometimes it feels frivolous, but I understand that different people have different release points and different people need different things. And so while I'm staying abreast of information, I still have a job. And so while I may not be happy with all the way, because people are like, as content creators, sometimes they're like, well, we want you to speak out. We want you to say something. We want you to have an opinion. And I'm like, that wouldn't work if I worked at ABC or Macy's or, this is still my job. This is what I do for a living. Am I abreast of, what is going on in the world? Am I sympathetic? Yes. Do I still move forward as a person like I have to in this life? And sometimes I think to myself, it's hard being here. Do I want to be in the States? But where is the climate okay? So these are just tough conversations. But even when I watch the girls, the younger content creators put out work daily, all the time, I'm just like,
They're hustling.
these girls are made of steel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and I also think one of the things we've been talking about is how age impacts how you move through these spaces, right? As a Gen Xer, I'm like, You're not flustered. You're not afraid. You're not.
Yeah, no, the us millennials, and I can't speak for Gen Z because I'm a millennial, but we've been through so much. And I will say I'm desensitized because although I do work with my mom now, my professional career journey is as far as how I've been trained is as a journalist. So I've worked in the newsroom for many years, and that is just one of the most like traumatizing places as far as like content you see every day. So I am highly desensitized, but yeah, sometimes my mom calls me and she's like, did you see this TikTok? Because I live in DC. She's like, the National Guard this, and did you see that? And I'm like, I didn't, and I'm probably not going to look it up because what's it going to do? Stop me from going to the gym and Trader Joe's today? But no, I do like to stay aware still, but I think that there's a fine line between staying aware and sharing information and fear mongering.
And not even fear mongering, just being hyper aware where you shut down and locked down. Do you know what I mean? Like the last time I was in DC, I think it was Restaurant Week. We got up and did our morning 5-mile walk, and we walked past the Capitol and past the National Guard, and and Restaurant Week wasn't as it just looked different. It felt different, and being in Kamaria's space and just watching her move, like oh, it's just another day, and I don't know that, yeah. If I were
That's
in
a little harder
DC
for you?
without you there, like if I was just a resident visiting DC, like I just called one of my friends that lives in Utah, and I'm like, "How are you doing?" She was like, "Girl, I'm in the house," and I'm like, "I get it."
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I don't blame anybody for needing to separate themselves from it because, like I said, it's a lot, and I'm a little desensitized. But I do think there comes to a time and a point where you just have to say, the goals that I have for me, what's for me in this life is for me, and to a degree, everything that's going on politically affects us all. But to a degree, there's only so much we can control, and so I like to focus on what's in my power, and right now, that's living my best life, taking my walks, working with my mom, making beautiful content and sharing that with the world because I think as a creative, that's what I can offer. Even when I am working in my corporate jobs, I know that creativity is my strength. It's my superpower. And because I am able to translate that creativity into strategy and into ways to make money and in ways to build community, that's what I focus on. And that's the love that I give back to the world to counteract the darkness.
It and switching subjects a smidge, because this is a strange space for me because I'm an advocate for change, right? I love change. I love, moving around fearlessly. So I'm not necessarily fearful. It's just unsettling changes from my perspective.
What you said about like switching around, because I do think that that's something that you have done my whole life very well. Pick up and leave when things are no longer good. Try a new city, try a new job. That I don't want to call it that. It is brave, but that sensibility about yourself. Do you think that with age that there's less likelihood that you have the bravery or the heart, the courage? That's the word I'm looking for. Courage to try things like that. Do you have any fear about aging and picking up and doing new stuff?
Nope.
No.
Because let me say this. I'm an opportunist, right? And I feel like that God creates opportunities for us, right? So when you see something that you want for your life and you say, I'm going to use the cake example you gave, like, oh, I want a German chocolate cake. You're like, oh, God, I just wish I had a German chocolate cake. And God sets chocolate in front of you and coconut in front of you and flour in front of you and eggs in front of you and sugar in front of you. And you're still walking around saying, I wish I had a German chocolate cake.
Yeah.
And so I think that every day when I wake up, I see new opportunities, right? And so for me, I see lots of opportunities even in this space, like, well, I'm not tied to a location. Like I just got up and said one day, I'm moving to New York. I can also jump up and say I'm moving to Portugal, Spain, Ireland, like anywhere I want to go. So, I'm cognizant of things of, proximity for you and my mother who is still alive and that sort of thing. But I think that my superpower is ability to change.
Yeah.
And so I have not become fearful with age of change, and I'm always just, what's next? even in my current, wherever I am currently, my mindset every day is what's next. Because being in sales and marketing for so many years, you're only as good as your last sale.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your last month. You're only as good as your last day.
Yeah.
So my mindset daily is what's next.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think that I've adapted that mindset. Obviously, you raised me and we think alike in a lot of ways. But I do think that that's one of the reasons I'm able to not see myself as someone who has a peak. Like I know a lot of people talk about their glory days and their high school was this and college was this and I had this type of job. But for me, like I've done so much, I've accomplished so much, and all of it just feels like the steps. Like if you're at the top of the steps, you look down. Those feel like there's still way more steps to climb. I haven't reached a peak, and I don't think I will, because when I look at my mom, she's still doing more. Every day she's still growing. Every day she's still learning. She's meeting new people, way younger than her, younger than me, and she's connecting with them in a real way. And so I think that for me, like I'm someone who really likes to and this is one of the things that are a little different between us, but I'm someone who really likes to connect with people deeply. Like I'll hear about how your morning was, but like for me, like I'm at the bar, like what was the worst day of your life? Yes. Like, so like I love talking to people. I love learning about people. And I think that even though you do it differently, you do the same thing. You love people.
Yes.
Differently. But you do love people.
I do. And I have a heart for people. I have a real passion for people, but I don't need the levels of deep connection for me. And I think it's, I'm easily overstimulated. I am, what's that word? Introvert, that word. I'm a, what is it? Extroverted introvert.
You like to help people. You like to fit in where you, like if someone needs you, you will definitely be someone's first call most times.
Yes. And as that, because I pour into people. Yeah. I attempt to, I try to, right? And as someone who does that regularly, when I go home to reset, I saw, of course, on TikTok, a meme or something, right? That said, oh, I spent an hour out now. I need 2 weeks at home. I'm that girl. And like today, okay, so I had to come in town. We're in Manhattan today, and I had to come in town to film this. And this morning when I woke up at 5 a.m., because I'm up, right? And I woke up at 5 a.m. and I thought to myself, I just want one day where I don't have to do anything. Like I don't want to put on lip gloss. I don't want to comb my hair. I just want to sit on the couch. And I'm having more and more days of that. And I feel comfortable in saying that.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of successes.
And I think you should feel comfortable in saying that, because I think when it comes to Black women specifically, there's an unspoken shame around resting. There's something we could be doing. But I truly believe in not pouring from an empty cup. I'm a big rester. It's also part of me as a Pisces. Like we just love to sleep. We just love to rest. And I think that is why I'm able to give so freely. And it's funny because I don't consider this about myself, but it's been said to me almost like 2 or 3 times this month that I have strong boundaries. Me, Kali, and Ariel have all mentioned something about my boundaries this month, and just like how I'm really good at not letting people cross lines with me. And I don't feel like I'm enacting boundaries, like I'm telling people like, hey, I don't feel like that, but I will take my presence away and give no explanation. I don't explain myself. I just don't.
She has very strong boundaries. I feel like I have strong boundaries, but I'm very flowery with it, right? Like I am not apologetic about my boundaries, but I kind of, if I feel the need, the thing with the gym, the incident with the gym, where someone had been stealing my sessions, I ended up, it crossed the boundary for me, and I like the young man a lot and blah, 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 blah. I don't want to get into it, but I ended up having to call his boss and just saying, listen, I don't want him fired. I don't want him in trouble. I just want these sessions put back on my book. It crosses a boundary for me.
But when we had a conversation about that, and I was not her first call about that situation, the first person she spoke to, I don't know if she got the answer, but I think that I gave you an answer that you liked. And I think that for me, like I told you, it's always a matter of, when it comes to stuff like boundaries, because I am very clear on what I want and don't want, it gets black and white. There are gray areas sometimes, but with that situation, I told you, you like this person, you like the way your body feels when you work out with them. This is a business relationship. Let's remove every emotion out of it possible. Let's not say, well, what about their more? Let's not do that. Let's just, if we're talking business, here's what I want, here's what you can do to fix it, here's how long you have. Yes or no? I've given you an ultimatum, and that's just how I move.
Information, not ultimatum. And after I shared the information, I don't feel like the answer was what I needed it to be. So then, therefore, I had to escalate it because I do have boundaries. And you know, I have a friend, a dear friend. He's always like, just let it be. It's fine. It's so and so. You're always worried about someone trying to take advantage of you. And I said, actually, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried about anyone trying to take advantage of me. I'm kind. I'm giving. I'm generous. But don't take my kindness for weakness.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
So, yes, we both have boundaries, but yours come across a little more directly than mine.
What you guys don't know about my mom is in her current age, she's much more subtle and calm than she used to be. She kind of used to be like a cowboy, a mix between a cowboy and a pirate.
I'm going to call it, I'm just going to say I am a truth teller. I just tell the truth.
She used to cuss everybody out. Everybody.
Well, if that was the, it was just like a little exclamation point on the sentence.
You ain't never heard so many Immer effers.
Okay, we're probably going to have to cut this part.
But no, you have grown and changed. And when you were talking about your friend, it made me think of that because I don't think that that's someone who would have been friends with the old you. And I think it's impressive to see you still make friends at an old age because older age, because even people my age say they can't make adult friends.
So, segueing into friendships.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm always amazed by people who have friends long term because sometimes when someone has done something to me, it's like a not 1, 2, 3 year out, but it's almost like a okay 3, 4, 5, at least that, you know, because especially at this big age, I'm 59. I just feel like I'm not. This is the only person I have to raise. I'm not raising my friends. And so once you cross a boundary with me and I share with you what my boundaries are and I'm very clear on what my boundaries are, then I don't know how to, or I'm not going to even say I don't know how to move forward. I don't want to.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny because I'm one of the people who have had the same friends their whole lives. Like, so Ariel, my mom's assistant, we became friends when I was 16 and transferred high schools. We literally met and never stopped talking. Like we hi, what's your name? And I swear the conversation has been going for like 16 years. And then, yeah, my other best friends, one of them was my prom date from high school. The other ones also went to high school with Ariel and I. So.
And so what I have found, and for any of my former best friends, I love you with all my heart. I'm different, right? So as I've changed and grown and morphed, one of the things I honestly believe with all my heart is that God will do a purge of some of the things in your life to get you to the next level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have had friendships that I thought that I would have forever, and then, you know, just different avenues and spaces just make you see that maybe this person can no longer be my friend.
I agree, and I will say, I think that your journey is different, or it is different from mine, also because of how we were raised. We weren't raised the same. I think that you probably had more healing to do.
Yes.
And so with that healing, new versions of you were born, and that those new versions needed new people. Me, myself, everyone has healing to do from their childhood and through their life, but I think that as a child, I felt very whole. I felt very poured into. So when it came to making friends, I attracted people like me.
Okay, that's fair. So because I love my parents dearly, would do anything for them, my father is deceased. But I wasn't raised that way. You know, there was a different time, a different climate, a different way, right? So, and things that I saw that the things that I saw in my household, that became standard ways of living for me, also dictated the men I would date or the friends I would have. And I think that through my healing journey, I said, oh, you know what? This isn't acceptable. And I had made it not acceptable for my daughter and made sure that she didn't have the same struggles that I had in the way she was raised. But I still allowed it for my life before I had stricter boundaries. Yeah. And I think one of the last straw was husband number 1932. Don't ask how many husbands, but anyway. On that husband, I said, No one is ever going to talk to me this way again. No one's going to belittle me. They're not going to be subtle with it. They're not going to be aggressive with it. They're not going to be anything. I am not having it. I'm going to use a buzzword. He was a narcissist, and it really highlighted for me. And I said to myself, how did I find myself in this situation, right? And so then I had to peel back some layers, and I said, because this is what you grew up in. This is what you're used to. This is your norm, right? And so then when I would be around my friends after this husband, I'd be like, oh, you can't talk to me that way either. And you can't talk to me that way either. And so some of my friends are like, but we've always had the same conversation, girl. We're just kikiing. I don't kiki anymore, not like that. So, yeah.
What do you think of my long friendships? Do you think that I did a good job choosing when I was a kid, my people? Because all of my friends are low-key my mom's friends now. So now that we're adults.
I raised them all. I was there through it all. Okay, because my house was the open door policy house, right?
Because I wasn't allowed to go anywhere.
No.
I did go places, but she
had her own car and went plenty of places, child, so don't even believe that.
I went a lot of places, but yeah, you preferred people to come to our house than me to go to other people's houses.
I was a single parent raising a girl child, so when people say, can Kamari come spend the night at my house? No, you can come spend the night at our house. Because I knew that there wouldn't be any men, there wouldn't be any drugs, there wouldn't be any liquor, there wouldn't be any guns, there wouldn't be any way that you could get in trouble in my house unless you snuck out. So therefore, if all her friends were open door policy. So I knew them all. And plus, I was very intentional about knowing your friends. And so even when I watch stuff on the internet now, and I think to myself, these parents don't know their kids. You don't know what they're doing on the internet. You don't know that they're building bombs in their bedrooms. Like, you don't know that, how do you not know these things?
I just feel so fortunate to have not grown up in the time of having a camera in my face all the time, just because I think I had a hard time at a certain point as a teenager being perceived in real life, and I can only imagine the stress of thousands and maybe millions of people perceiving you online as a child. And I was a cul-de-sac kid. I would be outside after homework until the street lights came on, literally running back in, smelling like inside. Like, I lived on a scooter, a bike.
Smelling like outside is what she meant to say.
What'd I say?
Smelling like inside.
Oh, yeah, smelling like outside. But I lived for it, and I think that that's so true to who I am today. Like, that's why I have to wake up and walk 5 miles before I can start my energy with the world, because I am very true to who I was as a child, and that purity about myself is something I can't lose, because I think that that's what keeps me sane with everything that's going on. And I love that I've been fortunate enough to know what I like for most of my life. Like, obviously I have new interests as an adult and stuff, but the things that I like to do as a kid are the things that I like to do now, and those are the things that make me feel healed.
But to answer your question, am I surprised, proud of whatever, of you being able to maintain friendships for that length of time? I think that you have healthy friendships.
I think so too.
I think that you all have the conversations that need to be had mostly.
We're very, I think confrontational gets a bad rap. Me and my friends, we joke about it. We are confrontational. Why are you acting weird? You being weird. You good?
I think that because of your boundaries sometimes, like even if I want to have a real conversation with you about something that's bothering me, I have to come in gently, right? Like, girl, I'm about to ask you a question. You cool?
Yeah, because don't trauma dump if I don't get a warning. Like, hey, you ready to talk about something? Yeah, okay, I'm good.
And then she'll say something along the effect of, with one eyebrow raised, like, I'm cool. Like, but what you about to say?
But we had to get there. We had to get there because like I said, we're always growing and learning. And she used to come in hot, call my phone. Oh, I'm about to bang on you. Like.
So I'm respecting her grown up and adult boundaries. And so I think that you've done a great job with friends. I think that, and I'm so very happy and excited about that, because you're an only child.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about you having a brother or sister, because you've got a sister standing in the room with us now. You've got your cousin Jory.
Yes.
Like, if I can't find Kamaria, Ariel, Keela, Dav, like somebody on the main line, where's Kamaria? Why does she have, is her phone off? I'm looking at her location. Who
It's
else is this
very
slow?
annoying. But yes, she has all my friends' numbers and stuff.
So
yeah.
healthy relationships is what we're saying. Don't make it time. It's not unhealthy.
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you think there's room for friendships to evolve?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people have to be cognizant of seasons of change, right?
Absolutely.
I really wish you would come stick your face over here, Ariel.
Ariel's
Come on.
going to come say hi. She has on a
Yes.
really cute outfit today, so this is perfect.
Yes. Come on. So then again, Ariel, where are you going to stand? Behind the table?
No, just come on. You can just walk around.
Go. I'm thinking, do I give you another mic?
No.
I'm just gonna
Wait.
Just right over here. Yeah.
Step over.
Mhm.
Okay.
And you'll see the frame over here.
Okay. Ariel has been Kamaria's friend since. Step back down. That was too quick. You ran out. She ran in and out. You all have been friends for how long?
16 years.
Yeah, 16 years.
And so what was that, junior year in high school?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Around that, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sophomore.
Yeah, it was sophomore year, but yeah.
Yeah, I said, who did your hair?
And
And she said, my
my
mama.
mom, yeah.
And I was at their house that next day.
She said, can I have her number? And I said, well, she's not a hairstylist. She just did my hair at home. She said, yeah, just give me her number. I
Yeah.
said, okay. And one day I came home from work because one thing about your girl, kept a job since 15. And this girl from my high school was in my house. And I was like, wait, what's her name again?
Getting her hair done.
Literally.
And so Kamaria works with me full-time and Ariel part-time.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's where we are currently.
But also to answer the question, I definitely feel like for me, relationships have to grow because I'm constantly growing myself. And I think that me and Ariel, we have done that flawlessly without even having to have a conversation about it. But Ariel is in a very new chapter of her life right now. She just had twin boys. And, you know, as her friend, I have to recognize what her needs are. And I can ask her, but we're so locked in, I don't really have to. I know how to show up for her. And there are times when she'll tell me, like, this is what I need, this is what I feel. But all of my relationships and grow. And it's like it's like a thing that for me that almost feels more natural than a relationship that doesn't grow. I can't think of a single person who's still in my life that hasn't changed and they're doing their own growth too. And I recognize that and I appreciate that.
I'm going to say yes. My older friendships, which, you know, again, I think the biggest change came with me, are now gone, right? So do I have some newer friendships that are constantly evolving? Yes. Am I working through how to maintain friendships as an adult when you're super busy, when you have, you know, habits and ways that are, you know, inbred, like that you aren't necessarily changing. So, yes. I'm just going to say yes.
Yeah.
Have I done it, you know, flawlessly myself yet? Maybe not.
Yeah. Do you want more friends?
I'm not team no new friends, but I'm also I'm content.
Okay, but you're single too. So do you have a yearning for community, more community, or are you happy to have some time? Because like you said, you've been married multiple times. You've had a kid. You've had the old friends. Like, or do you prefer your solitude right now?
Okay, so this is a sidebar, funny story, right? So the other day, I'm not feeling like myself, right? I'm not feeling like myself. I'm like, Kamari, I need to go get some hormones. She was like, oh, that's malarkey. You don't need hormones.
I don't think I said that, but
Okay. So, and then I go and get my hormones tested. This is TMI moment, right? The doctor says, when's the last time you've had sex? And I'm like, girl, I don't know, 5, 6 years? I mean, look, who's counting? And she was like, okay, and that tracks because you don't have any testosterone. She said, now, when I give you these hormones, you know, you'll have more energy, you'll have more, you know, willingness to get up and do things and be social and da-da-da-da. And she's like, and your sex drive may come back. I'm like, child, where I slather the testosterone on? We'll see. So when you ask me, do I desire that? I think that hormonally, it hasn't even been an interest. Like, and do I feel that there's something missing? Is there a piece missing or something like, no, I do not. And I don't know that even, you know, hormones full of blaze, I even felt that way.
yeah. But I'm not asking you about your horny levels. I'm just like
No.
saying,
But, you know, like some of that drives your desire to want a partner.
Yeah.
So actually, my desire to have a partner, no, I do not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want someone to say, "What's for dinner?" Can you pass me the something?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm trying
I
to
keep
watch
trying to
my
tell my mom she'd be great in a lavender marriage.
or in two different households. You live over there, I live over here. We can be married. I love you. Good night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you like having your own space.
I love having my own space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you love being in New York? I mean, I know you've said that you've considered leaving the country and, due to the climate and all that, but do you, because I don't know if a lot of people know, but before New York, you were in Arlington, DC.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, Charlottesville, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Before that,
DC
again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before that, Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, Chicago.
Yes, and before that, Atlanta.
Yes. So she's moved a lot, and this is the biggest city. You're from Chicago, so you're
I'm
naturally
from Chicago.
a city person. But what
Correct.
do we think about New York?
Oh, you know what? So I thought that there was no city more fantastic than Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Quite honestly, I thought like Chicago rings all the bells.
Mm-hmm.
New York has a couple extra bells. Now, are there pros and cons? Sure.
Yeah.
New York is not as clean or as pretty as Chicago, but I have a pretty landscape that I have a balcony that overlooks water, and like my life is fabulous here in New York. I actually really, really love it. And and even when I talk about moving, because a lot of things Kamaria does the research for me, and so I'm like, Kamaria, look for a place where I can live in Mexico. I can buy or rent. She was like, you need a doorman. You need a valet, you need a blut, you need a dut, and I'm like, no. And she's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? And so New York has been very, very comfortable for me.
So it's
I
funny
love
to
it
me
here.
because I consider myself a well-traveled person, and I've been traveling for a long time since a kid. And my mom, you recently started traveling abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, to me, is one of the most American people I know. So when she talks about leaving the country, I do think that I could see her adjusting to a new climate and making friends, and because she's done it everywhere. She lived in freaking Charlottesville, Virginia. But to like, if you even see my mom walking down the street, she's walking 10 times faster than everybody else. Like, she's fast. She's like, and if you travel outside the country, like, they're a little slower. Your coffee might come in 20 minutes, or the waiter might not come visit your table, and there's all these little things that I think that you are just so adjusted to, and you would think that they're wrong.
So you know what? No. So in studying and looking at things and learning, like, make sure that when you go to another culture, you adapt to their culture and you're not trying to force your culture down their throat. Because when I see people like, oh, the salsa is too spicy. Baby, then go where they make the salsa less spicy, because this is how it is here, and this
Right.
is what you're going to get. And if you don't like it, don't even eat that then.
Right.
So I get that. So I don't think I would be that person, because that person sounds like a little horrible person.
Yeah, I don't think you would be that person necessarily, but we
Okay.
never know.
But I will say this. To the point of Kamaria has been a world traveler probably since,
I went on my first international trip when I was 8. We went to Germany with my dad.
and then she wanted to go. Where did you want to go to? What mountain did she want to climb when you graduated?
Machu Picchu,
Wherever that is, right? And
Peru.
And then she went to Amsterdam for a Prince concert or something.
For the North Sea Jazz Festival when Prince was headlining.
Okay. And you know who stayed home? Me. I've never had a desire to move or travel or do those sorts of things like that. And so the beautiful part is that she can be her own person and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm my own person, however which way it works out. But do I feel like I can adapt to a different society? Yes, I feel like I adapt to society as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? And I keep going overseas trying to figure out what would it be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's still
Where
a
could
lot
I
of
go?
travel to be had. We went to Turkey, not necessarily for pleasure. We didn't go to Istanbul. We went to Izmir. What was that, 2 years ago at this
For
point?
dental work.
Yeah, for dental work. But I loved Turkey. Those people were very kind. We felt comfortable. We walked around at night around our hotel to
Yes.
a restaurant and back. As Black women, no weird vibes.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think that there's just so many places in the world yet to discover. And one of I'm glad that I get to be the person to go out of the country with you, because for the most of my life, all those other trips my mom mentioned were my dad. My dad is like a wanderlust. He completely loves to just get on a plane, have a backpack, and figure it out when he gets there. And I have that adventurous spirit from him. But I love the opportunity to do the same thing with my mom and see her see parts of the world for the first time and, experience that with her, because it really is just like, there's parts of yourself that exist outside of the place you're in. There's parts of you that you can't unlock until you're physically in a new place. And I think that for us, Turkey was just like a real moment where we were just like, whoa, we actually can travel together. Like once we work out the kinks, we did a pretty good trip.
One of my favorite ones also as well was
Greece.
Mexico City.
Oh, Mexico City. I thought you were going to say Greece.
Okay, Mexico City.
Yeah.
Greece as well. Now I'll tell you about Mexico City.
Okay.
Kamaria had the whole thing mapped out, right? She was like, okay, we're going to do A, B, Z. Here's the times we're going to be there, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, are you enjoying the trip? And I'm like, it's all right. And she was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to let you plan this day.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, what are we going to do? I said, let's get up and go outside. She said, where are we going? I said, I don't know. Let's get in an Uber. Like I'll put in looking for art, and we went looking for art. And then, and then everywhere we were, we'd see different things and we would just keep going. Look, there's a cathedral. Let's go in there. Look, there's food. Let's go eat over there.
We were just exploring.
So I don't have to have a map, a plan, any of that. So even like in planning for the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have some general loose topics we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Kamari's like, do you want a diagram? Do you want to map it out? Do you want to? I'm like, no, I want to vibe.
Like I said, I come from a corporate background. I have been a strategist and an analyst for many years, and I do a lot of consulting now. So yeah, that's just in my head. That's how things work. But I'm also my mother's daughter, and that's why me and Ariel always joke. There's no other two people who could have our jobs, because they would be like, "What is the job?" And I always I have a title working with her. I'm the director of strategy, but we joke I'm the director of vibes, because the vibes are whatever Patty feels when she wakes up that morning. So the question from Ariel was, do you feel more inclined to travel now because you have more resources, i.e. money and time, whereas when you were a single mother, that was kind of like your proclivity or what was stopping you maybe a little?
No, I didn't have that wanderlust.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's strange. People are like, what do you like?
Yeah.
I like all sorts of things, but I don't know. Like I didn't have a wanderlust for travel. Like I didn't have a desire to go. Like the other day, you all were eating what? What steak were you all eating?
Oh.
Prime rib?
A ribeye.
And I said, you know what? I want a bite of your ribeye. I've never had ribeye. And they're like, you've never had ribeye? I'm like, no, I'm a filet person. Every time I go out and I get a steak, I get a filet. The other day you had some fish. What was it? Branzino. I've been a chef. I've been a personal cook. I've owned my own catering company. I can cook branzino if that's what you want to eat. I prefer not to eat it. So when I said, can I have a bite of your red snapper? I've never had it. So I do the things that I enjoy doing. And it's not that I don't enjoy
new
things outside of my box. I'm very seldom, I know that sounds closed off and small, but I'm just not that. But I'm just very seldom called outside of my box.
Yeah, and I think that that's okay. And I think that when people are stepping into their power, they're stepping into their truth. And the truth is, you didn't want to travel, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. You had money. Mm-hmm. I had people I could stay with if you wanted to travel. Mm-hmm. You probably had lots of offers from people who were traveling, your mm-hmm. friends and stuff at that point. And
you know what? And I'll say this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to take the claim of mom and dad, because Philip was a very interactive parent. Still is a very interactive parent.
My dad.
Her dad. But I wanted Kamaria to have all the things I had growing up, right?
Yeah.
So I enjoy working. I honestly enjoy working. I've always enjoyed making money. So the fact that I could fund or sponsor these trips for her to be able to travel was what was exciting to me. That was the most exciting part of it. Me being able to go, yeah, whatever, I don't care. Mm-hmm. You having the opportunity to go was bigger for me than me actually going.
And so now that times have changed and you do have more time and money to go, how has your relationship to travel changed? I'll let you have your sip first.
So for me now, travel is a means to an end. Like, mm-hmm. where do I want to end up? And so when I think about what's next, I'm just broadening my horizons for potentially what's next. So when I travel, because I want to do the same things when I'm traveling that I do at home. Just walk around.
Please don't let the country have a TJ Maxx.
Just walk around, look, enjoy myself, dip in and out of places. So I'm going to move the same no matter where I am. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, we are going to Zara and TJ Maxx in every country.
Any
that we can.
boutique, any little store, I'm a toucher, feeler, turner over. Like, what is that? I'm just, you know what? Am I going to buy it all? No, I'm just going to look. I like looking.
Yes. So I do think that you like shopping too.
I love shopping. I
And treasure hunting more specifically.
I love shopping. I love treasure hunting. I don't care what name you put on it. I love it. Okay,
Yes,
there's
yes.
that.
And I guess this is kind of a segue just about the treasure hunting spirit. I think you, Ariel, and I all have that in common. We love a good bargain, a good discount, finding a better price for something. This is a steal. Like it's something that I think all three of us get a high off of. Me and Ariel, when I was in high school, we used to go thrift down. I mean, we would thrift across Georgia, Atlanta, Buckhead, Marietta to get what we were looking for. And I think that you now have more access to luxury products and, whatever it is you want because you are making more money than you did, when you were a single mom. But you still have that feeling of, I don't necessarily want to pay full price if I cannot.
Okay. So now, when you were little, okay, I am the pre-season girly or post-season girly, whichever. I don't buy stuff in season, right? So if I wanted all of Kamaria's clothes to come from Neiman Marcus, guess what? They were still off season, right? I would buy for the winter upcoming or the summer upcoming. That's the way I would get best price. I have never really super been a full price girly.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing some things here recently, splurging, treating myself, because, and so when you think about people with mass amounts of money, I'm not a collector of money, like because what else do I need?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What am I looking for? What am I hunting?
Yeah, you're not hoarding money. You're definitely, and
But I'm also not blowing money.
Yeah, no, and I think that's why it is easy for you to spend your days going through stores and boutiques because you're getting the best. You're getting the best deal. You're going to this jeweler. You're going to that jeweler. You're asking for more prices. You're coming back next week. Like, I remember she took me to a jewelry shop and they were like, "She's here to see the necklace again." I'm like, "How many times have you been in here to see this one necklace?"
As many times as it takes to get it. But I'll say this about Friends and about shopping as well. I love Friends. This is one of the reasons I love Friends. Friends highlight things about you or point out things about you that maybe you forget and don't see.
Absolutely.
Right? One of the things Ariel said to me was, she said, "You do such a great job of doing so and so and so and so," or you showed me how to shop, or you showed me how to spend money, or you showed me you've got this amount of money and you're gonna get this many things. So tell me what you're gonna get right now, and tell me how you're gonna spend your money. Or you walked in my house and said the reason how you can fix your curtain rod is this, that, or the other. So I think Friends highlight those sorts of things and help people grow. That just reminded me, but. So I'm all over the place. It's my ADHD.
You said Friends and shopping.
And shopping. But I think I was done with shopping. Was I done with shopping?
Maybe, but I do have a question about that because Friends and shopping, I know you recently had an experience where you did buy some stuff in season, full price, straight up out the store with a newish friend.
Okay.
And I want to know how that felt as the bargain coach, the bargain hunting coach. All my friends have learned how to shop from my mom.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So this is just a new space and time in my life, and I am very excited about it. It's Fashion Week here in New York, and that's why the girls were here.
Yes.
And not that I even had a whole bunch of fashion stuff lined up, but they're like, you know what, we'll take this opportunity to get together. So one of my friends just called me out the blue, and she said, I have a +1 for the Gucci premiere. Do you want to come to the Gucci premiere with me? I was like, girl, I look a hot raggedy mess. I am in town, but yes, I can come, whatever.
Yeah.
And so through miscommunication or whatever, I'm pre-shopping, and I wasn't supposed to be there because the premiere, I thought it was a show, and actually it was just a premiere to go in there and shop. And so I'm sending her pictures, and she was like, "Stop, wait for me." So she comes in, and she's like, and I'm showing her things. She was like, And I've been working on my style lately a lot, right?
And you've always had great style, but you always love to evolve and grow.
Yes. And
yes.
you know what? And there's this elegant ease, like always put together look that I just want to have. Like
that almost everybody has told her she is mastered and has had for 20 years.
but I'm still working on it. I'm evolving and elevating there as well. So I'm with, and I'm going to say Sydney. I was with my friend Sydney, right?
Yes.
So and I'm looking at this, and she's like, "Well, what about this?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and looking at this, and she's like, "What about this?" And then and she's a stylist.
Yeah.
So she's just telling me, like, you would put this like this, you would wear this like this, you would combine this like this, you put this over sweatpants and be the baddest hooker in the room. Like, girl, like this, all you need is this coat and this boot and this bag and this shoe. And then, so we're, now mind you, we're not in Charlotte Russe doing this, we're in Gucci. So she was like, get one coat, one shoe, one bag, one blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, Colt guys across the street. We're both, have other appointments that we have to go to, so we're limited on time. She was like, let's run through Colt Gaia. And then I just, I'm in Gucci, like, yeah, one of those, please. Yes, one of those. And one of those. And then I'm like, but you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
okay. It's okay. I work very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And every time I have a career and I make an amount of money, when I was a caterer, I said, God, I don't know how you can bless me
Yeah.
where I can make more money than I make now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I became a mortgage broker by a fluke. Okay, back to the opportunity conversation. I became a mortgage broker by a fluke because I decided I can't be a caterer anymore.
Yeah.
So I called to say how much equity is in my house. And they said, are you calling about the mortgage brokerage class? I said, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm a mortgage broker, right? I'm making more money in my basement in my house, my 5-bedroom East Cobb house in Atlanta, than I made before as a caterer. And I thought there was nothing greater than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so I'm working for the YMCA now, pouring into children, helping people try and get, figure out where their career paths are going, that sort of thing, edifying young people. I love to edify young people. I do the Farrah Fawcett challenge thing on TikTok because my daughter said, get on TikTok, mama. And the girl is combing her hair like I combed my hair in the 80s. I was like, wait a minute, sweetness. No one does that better than me. So I go out there on TikTok and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kensington Gray, my management company, calls me and says, hey, you've got more people watching you than this or that sitcom. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like
8 million views in 2 weeks, I think.
I think it was 7 million or something like that, right? It's up to 9 now, but yes.
Right.
But yeah, so I've been with Kensington Gray in the last 3 years. And so when I say I'm an opportunist, when something comes across my path
Mm-hmm.
where I can see what's next for me, I'm very intentional about moving in that.
Yeah.
So what were we talking about that even got me here?
I asked you about the shopping thing, and then that led into talking about opportunities. But the full price shopping day.
Okay, so full price shopping day. That's how we got here.
Mm-hmm.
See, the ADHD. That's why these young ladies are here with me. So again, when I was a caterer to the stars in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Clients like Jermaine Dupri, Evander Holyfield, Bow Wow, Ludacris,
Mm-hmm.
Rico Wade,
V103.
rest in peace, V103, Kathy Hughes,
Mm-hmm.
Radio One. Like, I was like, life gets no better. Then I became a mortgage broker. I was like, oh, life gets no better.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm a content creator. I'm like, does life even get better than this? And so when people say, what drew you to this? I feel like my steps are ordered, and when something is placed in front of me that I can make an opportunity of,
Mm-hmm.
I take the time to master it and make an opportunity of it.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that like we both have in common, and it's for me like it's not that I'm like trying to find the path of least resistance, but when I see that something is an opportunity, when I see that there's room to grow, that I have strength that I could use, I'm absolutely going that direction, and I don't question it. If there's something I need to learn along the way, I will. If there's people that I need to meet along the way, I will. But what's for me is what's for me, and like that mindset I was saying earlier about not having a peak, there's absolutely greater coming. That's where I get it from, and it's just if you follow the good feeling, if you follow where the energy is leading you, your gifts will be used.
Yes, your gifts will make room for you. But you have to be tapped in.
Yes, and you have to vibrate at a way where you can recognize when those gifts are being activated.
Yes. Yeah, and because people say, well, how did you get into being a content creator? Girl, like, no, I was vibing.
Yeah, my gift was here and,
right.
and
my
showing
gift made
up
room for me. Yeah,
and being me and being present for people who needed to see me.
And then with the video going viral, right? So 7 million, whatever, in the first 2 weeks, and over 1 million comments, right?
Yeah.
And I'm responding to every one of them.
Not literally 1 million comments.
It was
1 million comments?
Isn't it?
No, thousands of comments. 1 million comments now.
I think
Views.
it's 2.5 million comments now on the Farrah Fawcett video.
Really, comments?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And early on, how many ever it is, we can go out there and look. Y'all look for yourselves. Be like, nah, she was lying. I don't know what you wanted.
Right.
Okay.
We'll put it on the screen.
Right. But I was, people are like, how old are you? What do you do for a living? Do you have children? And I realized that the demographic speaking to me were kids. They were what I consider kids. They were my daughter's age and or younger. My mother doesn't look like you. She smokes cigarettes. She doesn't get off her couch. Like, do you work out? Like, what have you been eating? Are you on a supplement? And so I'm just talking. I'm living in Charlottesville at the time. I'm responding to everyone. They're like, and then it became a little game. The kids would be like, speak to her. She'll speak back. Whatever you say. If you say hi, she'll say hi. And so I had great engagement through that. But it was a way to connect, and that is what my platform is for. So people are like, who is your following, right?
Yeah.
It is from 24 to 74. Like, if you, because I hope to provide something for at any stage of life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like just something that, because I do train in my other work, journalists, how to show up online and to break that fourth wall and to come through with authenticity. And I do think for you, it was so easy. And I think that if you hadn't have had the mindset that you have to know where your opportunities lie, you might have saw all those comments and said, these people nosy, or, well, the views are cute, I'm done with this. But just you knowing that you wanted to edify young people, you wanted to help them figure something out, you wanted to make sure that they, that you were representing yourself fully so that they could be inspired by you. You used that opportunity to grow, and it happened fast.
Yeah.
Is there any part of you that feels like content creation, are there any negatives to content creation for you?
I do have a level of guilt. Only in that when I see how hard the young ladies are working, posting every day or 2 or 3. I'm gonna go ahead and name some of my favorite content creators. Any. And is it Any Given Sunday? Okay. Cirrus. There are people in this space that Dana Rose in this space who we maybe all started on the same level, right? But they're out here posting every day, right? And that sort of thing. And I think to myself, where could you be, Patty, if you were, and I'm not going to say consistent because I feel consistent. I also do not feel the need to film myself every day, all day.
Yeah.
I feel like when I want to come with relevant, and not to say that they're not coming with relevant information. They are. They're providing, very useful tools in their community, right? I just want, so I don't feel like it's expiring. I have guilt sometimes about not showing up more often.
Yeah, I don't think that that's something you necessarily need to feel guilty about. Like one of my favorite content creators, influencers, icons is Aaliyah's Face, and I do watch her vlogs. I'm more of a long form person. I'm not as much of a scroller. I love to have like a vlog or a podcast on in the background while I'm working or doing my chores. But in one of her more recent videos, she talked about the struggle of being consumed like a product 24/7 as an influencer, because you do make yourself a brand. And me personally, I'm such an empath. I can totally relate and understand, because like I said, sometimes I'm not in the mood to be perceived, but it doesn't seem to bother you. And I think that that's really great. And I don't think you should feel guilty about not recording every day, because sometimes, you don't want to burn out.
So I don't worry about people and how I'm perceived at all.
That's
in
great.
real life, online.
Well, it's great to an extent, but yes, we know that.
Well, because I'm very confident in who I am. So I know my heart, right? And I don't mean anyone any ill intent,
Yes.
no malice, no, none of that, right? So, like there was a lady, I'm all cute and bubbly and excited about my outfit, and she was like, I don't like it. Okay, girl. Vibes. We're on vibes. I get
Yeah.
it. You don't feel the vibe. I'm not mad. Like, there's so many things that don't touch my personal life.
Yeah.
I have a bubble around me. So the content creation space, even though you may see me standing in the bathroom with my underwear on for whatever brand, right? You still haven't penetrated my bubble. Like I have, and the bubble may just be in my head, but who I am as a person, I can take it. Like, girl, what? You said what? And why does that matter to me?
Yeah. No, you've got thick skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have thick skin, but I also have the luxury of being self-sufficient. Self-sufficient gives you thicker skin.
You have the luxury of being self-sufficient, and I think you have the luxury of being a grown-ass woman. Like, you've had your marriages, you've bought houses, you've raised a successful child, you've validated yourself in real life, way offline, before you even had a camera phone. So the girls of today are getting validation in a different way.
I'm a grown-ass woman.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, not to say that the content girlies, the
No,
other ones aren't
they-
grown-ass
right.
women. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you came from a place of confidence that did not involve the internet.
Okay, and the place of confidence came from personal struggles,
Yeah,
overcoming them.
yeah,
Whether it be from childhood to marriages that weren't successful, and I'm not blaming the men. It had to do something with my picking power, like I explained earlier in here, like, or being fired from a job, or being a single parent, or like, did we have land of milk and honey? Yes, we did. Did we also have a mommy, I want a Happy Meal? Okay, here, let's go get you a Chick-fil-A kids meal. Let's go get you that, right? And she, mommy, you're not hungry. You don't want to eat? I'm like, girl, that was my last $3. I don't say that to her. And I'm like, no, mommy's not hungry, right? Like, that's back when Happy Kids meals were $3. I think they're 19 now. But anyway. But so I've known feast, I've known famine. So, but yeah, so and through it all, I feel like an overcomer, a conqueror. Like I'm good.
So one of the things you just said is like overcoming, and that's how you gained your confidence. But you, I don't think, went the traditional way of healing or overcoming. I don't think there was therapy or like medications. Like you keep mentioning your ADHD. You're not medicated. You've never been for that.
Or diagnosed.
I don't know that you've been to I don't think you've been to therapy, but I've never heard you mention a therapist. Like, I want to know, what tools in your toolbox do you think helped you with the healing? And I know for a long time we did go to church. Maybe it's religion and faith, or maybe it was the friends you had. What tools do you think did you rely on?
Friends, faith. I'm very self-aware. I'm very, very self-aware. Therapy. So when I went to Spelman, when I was at Spelman, I studied sociology with a concentration in criminology with a minor in psychology, because I was very determined to understand how the mind worked and why people did with the things they do.
Yeah.
I was very interested in nature versus nurture. Were you born this way, or did environment make you this way? Because people with wonderful parents turn out to be horrible people. People with the worst parents turn out to be great people.
Yeah.
So I have been a student of life. Healing, therapy. Do I believe in therapy? Absolutely. Have I had a therapist for any length of time? No. If I needed to talk to a therapist, would I have one or two conversations? Yes, I would. I have friends who are therapists, and every time I talk to a therapist and I go in and speak with a therapist, they're like, we can chit-chat if you want, but it seems like you've got it. Like, obviously therapists don't tell you how to fix your life, but even as I'm, mapping it out, they're like, girl, you're having the conversation with yourself. So, yeah, you want me to sit in on it? And so, and even like in this past season of my life, I was like, one of my friends is a therapist, and I said, and I was telling her, and I said, I think I'm gonna get a therapist. She was like, I just don't think, she was like, I believe in therapy, obviously, I'm a therapist. She was like, I don't think that everyone is candidate for therapy. She was like, you were too self-aware to have a therapist. One time you were experiencing something in your life, you may not even be old enough to, you may not even remember because you were so young. And I felt a shift in you. So I took you to a therapist. She pulled out crayons and paper and pad, and y'all was in there. And then she came out and said, this is what she saw, this is what she experienced. And I said, and how'd y'all get this from the crayons? So do I believe in therapy? Yes. Would I, like if you felt like you wanted therapy, would I be an advocate for it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the healing journey for me has really been self-awareness. It's being
In time.
in time. And because, like when I was married to a narcissist, and people were like, how'd you even live through that? When he would
I was
leave,
the people.
okay. Kamaria was the people. She came to my house one year when I was living with him, and whatever city we were in. Don't be trying to pinpoint which husband it was. It was husband 873, thank you. But anyway, she came in and she said, hey. I said, hey. She said, I'm looking for Patty. I said, girl, quit playing. She said, no, I'm looking for Patty. She's my mama. She's this, she starts naming all these fabulous attributes, right? And she was like, if you ever see her again, let her know I came by here looking for her. And I was like, ugh, what an ugly thing to say. She was like, because the Patty I know would not find herself in this situation. So, yeah, I'm about to hop up out of here because I don't even like this for me. So, but yeah, if you ever see Patty again, tell her I love her. Girl, I miss her. And I was like, okay, let me leave. I mean, and I knew it was the wrong situation for me to be in anyway. It's not like my daughter influenced me to leave, but it was wrong relationship. And so, yes, but people would ask me, how did I live through that? Because when that man would leave, I would go stand in the mirror like I'm Viola Davis, like you is kind, you is smart. And I can talk to myself because.
You had to pour into yourself after all of that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that there are probably like better tools today for people who do have to overcome that and stuff. But I also think that like there are people, and I'm of the same vein of super self-aware, that if you really tap in and focus on healing yourself, you can. And I've learned a lot about healing myself and self-soothing and not needing to find Prince Charming or a protector or safety in the outside world, but to find it in myself.
Okay, so self-soothing. That's like because it's not alcohol, it's not drugs, because those are some of the normal things for self-soothing, right? Mm-hmm. So self-soothing for me would be awareness. Now.
It was prayer.
Oh, and prayer, for sure that.
Yeah. It was creativity, your mini house projects. She used to mow our lawns. She used to be in other people's houses doing their Christmas trees so she can get some creative energy out,
7 hours of Zumba per day.
Yeah, Zumba, and I think all of those were part of the healing journey.
Yes. And and things that kept me very, very healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was something I was about to say to you. Do you feel like
Self-soothing.
You're self-aware?
Yeah, I do think I'm super self-aware. Yeah. I've gotten that feedback a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there?
No, because sometimes I think you can be a challenge to talk to because of your boundaries.
I think that that's probably true, but this is what I will say about my own awareness. I have to be in a good place. If we're gonna have a conversation about some real stuff and I'm not in a good place, I cannot help you. I actually might harm, and
yes.
I don't ever want to cause people harm. So if me drawing away is the way that I can protect myself and you, then I will do that. And we can come back to the conversation if you still want to have it when I'm ready. But if I'm not ready, then we're probably not going to have a conversation right now.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, because people do cause a lot of harm when they speak off the cuff and they don't think it through. I talk very deeply and I'm very aware of what I'm saying, and most times I'm not just like, oh, I want to rescind that. Like I'm really trying to take in what people are saying to me at all times and respond from my heart. So if my heart is, because I'm a Pisces, the matters of my heart are extremely important to me. I can't move throughout the world without knowing how I feel. So yeah, sometimes I don't have space to take on somebody else's, the matters of their heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why healing is so important to me. I talk about healing every day, every week with people around me. I want to know what their toolboxes look like. What can I adapt? What can I offer? Because I am the person who heals me.
That is an analogy that I used to use all the time, the toolbox analogy, because, like even in the way that I was raised, I recognized, and this is the analogy I speak in, that if we needed to build a house, my mother maybe had a hammer and a saw. She didn't have nails, she didn't have glue, she didn't have drywall, she didn't have whatever, right? So then in raising my child, I said, what tools do I need in my toolbox that my mother didn't have, right? So I spent a lot of time collecting the tools to make sure that I had the correct tools to successfully raise a child, because, we had finest of private education, luxury cars. We grew up Jack and Jill. We didn't miss anything, but those things aren't necessarily the tools. The emotional support, the validation, the edification, the love, the expression of love, the confidence building, like all those things. I didn't get that in my home, and I had a lovely home, a beautiful home, a wonderful home. And so I just recognized, like, I don't fault her for anything. I just said she did not have those tools in her toolbox. So then in raising Kamaria, I just wanted to make sure that I had those tools in my toolbox.
And luckily, you attracted a partner who was so opposite from you. Sometimes I wonder how they were long enough together in a room long enough to make me, but so opposite from you that my dad has all the love in the world. He may not have a business idea, but he has all the love in the world, and he's also a Pisces. So that means a lot to me.
Yeah, and so Philip was a great balance, and I think the successful raising of you.
Yes, because for a long time, I just think that you were in a provider mindset because you were a go-getter.
I'm still, and I still feel like I am currently.
You still are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's a little bit of an opposite. My dad's very bare bones. Like, if I've got a hot meal and a roof, we're good, but let me at least take a trip this year and hear a good live show. And so I feel like I have a little bit of the both of you.
Yep.
Well, we've talked about a lot of things today.
And giving you really an introduction into who we are between mothers and daughters, and that's what this is about. There is no conversation that is off the table. Like we if it's here, if it's happening, if it's in the world, if it's between us, if it's between her and her friends, it is relevant. We are paying attention. We're
paying attention, and we're also we want to know how we can help, even if it's not, we're not saying that we want to talk about politics on this show, but we do want to help people feel comfortable talking through those hard emotions, because that's one thing that we do have, and that's such a fortunate relationship. I do tell my mom everything, but I love sharing my mom with the world. I love sharing her with my friends. I love sharing her on the internet. And so for people who don't have that conversation with, or can't have those conversations with their mom, we want to know, like, what would you like to hear us talk about? And we'll definitely be expanding these conversations and, asking questions from you guys.
And the beautiful part is that we are committed to growth.
Yeah.
And we're committed to growth. Even us doing this today is something new for us, because we are committed to growth. And what's next?
Absolutely. So thank you so much for watching episode 1.
Episode 1.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.
This is Between Mothers and Daughters.